Welcome, everyone, to a Big Ten Network off-season chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Nebraska's Shannan Lum, Trailblazer here. Shannan, your job description, recruiting coordinator, advanced scouting, data analysis. You're going to dive into the transfer portal, but you are also a Trailblazer, and I love this. I just absolutely love. I think there should be more women in men's college basketball. You're working for Fred Hoiberg, also a Trailblazer as an Asian American woman here in the AAPI month, Asian American Pacific Islander month. So it's like a perfect storm. This is all great. How did all this happen?
Oh man, where do I even begin? I mean, first and foremost, I didn't even realize the month. Like I've known this whole month that it's PI month, and I just realized what you said. Like I was like, oh wow, that's a great point. It is a perfect storm. Yeah, it started with back in New York, St. John's, Queens, New York. I was blessed with the opportunity. I forced my way. I'm going to say that. I forced my way into the men's side there. I used to be a manager for the women's, and Coach Mullen and what they had going on there, I really felt like I could add value to the program. I saw what the managers did on a daily basis from afar. And I just was like, you know what, if they can do that, like, I think I can do that too. I didn't feel like there was like this distance between like a women's side and a men's side. And so I kind of found a way to like speak with other people. Eventually I found out, I was like, look, are you guys interested in a woman manager? Like I haven't heard about that much. I think the only person I knew at the time was Syracuse head of GA. That was a woman, but that's about as far as the news went with that, right? So you don't hear much about those. But yeah, long story short, begged and pleaded. I did a month tryout over the summer. So I was sleeping on a women's basketball player's couch that summer. And the AC was not on. I'm telling you that much. In New York, the AC was not on at the time. So I felt the heat. But I say that makes me mentally tougher. So when I got into workouts, I was ready to go. But yeah, I spent my last 2 years at St. John's as a men's manager. Built really good relationships with Luca Virgilio and Matt Abdelmassi. I think what kind of separated me was just my willingness to find what I kind of noticed they were missing. Not saying missing like they couldn't do it, but like they needed help in something. And I found a way that like, hey, you need me to do that? Like, I'll go do that. Like, we'll make it happen. And I think that kind of also allowed Luca and Matt to like trust me and rely on me to do some stuff. And, after I graduated, I had an opportunity to go to Stanford and work for Tara Vanderveer as like, it's like a coaching internship. Tara is so good about helping young women try to progress. If they want to be a coach, she wants to help young women get in there. Doesn't matter if you play it or not. It's just, are you willing to do the work? And that internship was like a year to see what it's like to be working with Tara Vanderveer and learning from a bunch of coaches who have a plethora of experience. So I'm grateful for that. And I'll say Coach Mullen had his part in that too. It didn't hurt that he was from the Bay Area and people are like, oh, you work for Chris Mullen. So they may not know my name, but once, Chris Mullen kind of came in play, it was like a safe reference. Like everyone was like, oh, if you work for Chris Mullen, you must be okay. Like if he trusted you. And then after Stanford, that internship was over. Sharman Smith became the head coach at Cal around the summertime, and I was planning on doing Stanford another year. But Tara kind of walked up to me and was like, summer camp, and was saying, hey, Sharman just got a head coaching job, and Sharman played for Tara at Stanford. And she was asking, are you interested in being a video coordinator? Like, would you like to interview with them? And I was like, absolutely. So interviewed for Sharman. And luckily she chose me. To this day, we joke about how my interview was awful. I was too nervous. She said it on the phone when she hired me. She said, Shannan, I'm gonna tell you right now, you did not do yourself any justice on that on that Skype interview. I sent in like a package of stuff afterward, like a document of like all the things that I thought I could bring to the program. And she was like, yeah, if you had said any of that in the interview, you would have had the job earlier. And I was like, oh, so we joke about how that package saved my life. And I got 2 years of amazing experience at Cal. Just being able to embrace my role as a director of video, and really try to incorporate different things to the program. It's kind of fun starting at like a place where the program's kind of rebuilding or changing their face with their new staff. So that was really cool to be a part of. And then got a call from Luca and Matt around off season, and it was kind of like, look, we're interested in adding this position. You're someone that came up. You're the first name that kind of came up, and for that, I was like, Matt and Luca, I trust them a lot. So for me to want to like leave a program like Cal and the experiences I was having, I definitely wanted it to be a worthwhile experience. And while I'm grateful, I understand how uncommon it is for a woman, especially someone who does not pass the eye test. I said that earlier, but does not pass the eye test for coaches or anything. I understand how important it is for me to step into this role and hopefully do the best I can. So the next person behind me is able to do it at a higher capacity.
So how did you sell Fred Hoiberg on saying, you know what, I'm the right person at this time and I can help you, regardless of me being a trailblazer or anything like that, I can help your program. How did that interview go with Fred Hoiberg?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I learned a lot from is at Stanford and Cal, right? You're limited to the pool of people you can actually really recruit, right? The academics kind of knocks out a good percentage of recruits. And I'll admit, like, I've been here for 48 hours now, less than that. And being around the facilities, we don't have, like, I didn't have that at certain schools, right? I'm not knocking any school, but you don't have these resources and the unwavering support of everyone here. Someone on the street versus someone in the athletics program, and then having people like Matt, Luca, and Coach Hoiberg as your core staff, it's hard to not want to be here. So what I sold him on is a concept that I've been around with less resources and it's a little bit of a harder pool. So like, imagine, right, we do have these resources, how much more we can attract, the really young up and coming talent. And most importantly, my willingness. Willingness is a word that we use at Cal a lot, but for me, my willingness to do what it takes for me to help. Like, my biggest thing is I want to add value to a program. So the sell was kind of like, I'm going to do my research. I am going to constantly learn from others. I think there are a million people there that are way smarter than me that may not be in the same positions or opportunities, but I try my best to connect with everyone and learn from everyone. Because at the end of the day, I think the best experience is time, like just knowledge. And I've learned that from a lot of different people. So I tried to kind of sell him on that concept that like, hey, I may not be, from a super big program, or I'm a woman, I'm on a women's side, but I've worked with way less. So imagine what we can do with way more. At Cal, I watched them recruit the number 6, 7, one of those numbers in the ESPN women's class in my first year. And I'll tell you, like, it blew me away. Like, I was a part of that rush and I was ready. I think that that's something we can do at Nebraska.
So data driven, whether it's scouting or recruiting, in what way have you seen the analytics, which is a catchy term now, worked in a program's favor that you can apply that now to Nebraska in the Big Ten?
Yeah. So I think you got to pick and choose your battles with analytics. There's some staffs that are just not interested yet. It takes a while. You also have to be willing to do the research, because you can't just throw a bunch of numbers at people, especially the kids or the coaches. Like, here, read 20 pages of analytics, and then what? Like, it goes back and forth. You can say this about 3-point percentage, and then you can say this about 2-point percentage, and tell two different stories. So what I've learned over the last couple of years is it's the storytelling of the analytics. And that's where I think you can really develop players and then coaching styles. So Coach Hoiberg being in the NBA at one point, I think he's had a lot of resources with the analytics, and I think he's interested in it. So that means a lot, right? It's hard. Sometimes staffs aren't interested. He's very interested in it. So what I'm going to add to that is trying to understand the story behind the analytics and tell that story to the coaching staff, and then to help our players ultimately, right? It'll help us with recruiting in the high school level. There's so much more opportunities with websites and data on high school kids and their seasons, right? So you use those analytics to kind of determine some things that are recently coming out, like shot quality, like how good is their shots versus like they're not playing great competition, they can get a bucket at will type of thing. And then comparing it just to see who, was the best fit, or, hey, at least there's a list of, these are some guys, like if you wanted to see them, these are some guys that would fit your program. So that's kind of how I think we can approach it. And then also with scouting, I think analytics in the Pac-12, we're very scout driven. And so using analytics to kind of match like this guy's percentage, we're willing to take the risk. On the one given day, he might hit us with 3 threes, 6 threes, whatever it may be, but we're willing to take that risk if we can knock out their, A, B options and give them only their C, and it's not consistent enough. Like it might be worth the gamble. So yeah.
So Shannan, where did your passion for basketball originate?
Yeah, I wasn't much of the player myself. I played, but it was very on a recreational basis. My younger brother, he's 4 years younger than me, Walter Lum, and people started taking to him very early on. So I'm maybe like he's like third grade, and people are asking him to keep joining their teams. And at this point, I'm past this point where high school basketball is starting, and like I'm just trying to play for fun. But Walter was kind of being dragged everywhere to play. And while he would be in practice, there was a bunch of younger brothers and sisters to the teammates that would be on the side trying to play. And this one or two kids that I grew up to end up being like, they're like family friends now. They're like my little brothers. I would go on the side court with them. And for the 2 hours that my brother's teammates are practicing, I would start like just kind of doing like little training with them. Because at the end of the day, it was all fundamentals. I know it's easier these days to just sell the hype and the fanciness, but at the end of the day, to get you to the levels you want to be at, you have to have some basic fundamentals. So it was just, that didn't require athleticism for me. It didn't require this extreme talent. It was a matter of listening to better coaches than myself and then kind of just implementing that with those kids. And that kind of took off, and I chased a dream in New York, where I really wanted to go to New York to go to college because I love New York. And at the time, I'll admit, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. I was faking out with my parents, trying to convince them I'd go into med school or something and be a sports doctor because I wanted to be in sports, but I wanted them to feel a little more secure about my financial future. But my senior year, my parents were like, so where do you want to go to school? I applied to 13 schools, got into 12, and 11 of them were all for sports medicine or something of that nature. And only one was for sport management at St. John's. And I was like, guys, I'm so sorry I wasted your time, but I really want to do this thing in New York. And I think I'll make the best of it, and I'll make it worth all the time and sacrifice that they put into raising me. So at the moment, it seems to be paying off, but I still have a long ways to go to make them comfortable with that. They've been supportive, but we've had those conversations for sure.
Well, and I'm sure they're so proud that you're now at the University of Nebraska, in the Big Ten. And I just want to end it here and circle back because, like it or not, you have now suddenly become even more of a role model for someone to look up to. The numbers just aren't there in terms of women in men's college basketball. Add to it as an Asian American woman. How much pressure do you feel to make sure, I'm going to live up to this challenge?
Yeah, there's constant pressure, but I think I put that on myself more than anything. I've gotten nothing but support and encouragement. I try not to think too much on this because at the end of the day, if I can't do my job right and I'm more worried about that other side of things, right, I won't get very far. And then there goes kind of the trailblazing dies down, right? The fire stops. So I'm focused on trying to make sure I do my job right. I just got here, so I still have a long ways to go and to prove it, but I'm not blind and to the concept that there might be someone watching me. So I am a little more aware, like, hey, I do need to take a little more precaution of, if there's someone out there watching me, like, I welcome them to contact me. I want to be a resource to people because that's the only way I got to where I am today, with people just being generous with me and allowing me to ask questions and learn from them. So in that way, I'm not trying to think too hard on it while I'm doing the job, but in any other way, right? If I can help them or help anyone, I'm open to that. And I think that would be my way to kind of hold my responsibility. And at one point, I'm hoping I can get to another level and then feel a little more comfortable. But at the moment, the pressure is just right there on the neck. I can feel it. So hopefully I'll own up to it though. But I'm excited. And I think I'm surrounded by a really good staff, and I can't wait to meet the players, but a staff that is going to support me and help me to the best of their ability as well. And I think that's really important. It's the supports, the support system you have. So I'm lucky on that aspect for sure.
Well, congratulations, Shannan. We look forward to seeing you once we get into Big Ten men's basketball. Just sounds like obviously you're in the right place at the right time. So congratulations again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and Nebraska, I can't wait to get started. Let's go Big Red.